I am Sarah Marsh. I am a wine writer, a wine critic, a master of wine and a winemaker in a small way in Burgundy on the Côte d'Or, an area in which I've specialised for the past 17 or so years. But I have a great love of Italian wines and in particular for Valpolicella. Today I am tasting an Amarone from a particular estate. This wine came to my attention when I did a large Amarone tasting very recently for Club Enologique magazine. 90 wines, more than 90 wines, sent from over 60 producers in Valpolicella of their Amarone, and I particularly like this wine, and this is why I will do a tasting note. I will describe what I like about this wine. As I don't have your wine with me, I will taste one of my wines, and this is a Marsh MW, and I will be able to say this is a rich wine. It has lovely depth and body, very traditional richness for Marsh, but it's Naveau, which means that it comes from a rather thin soil with some red clay but also a lot of stone, and this gives it a straight mineral core but a muscular minerality. This wine has a bit of strength and it will age very well. This is very much tied to the terroir. I could talk about the technique and how I made this wine, how I let it oxidize under the press and so on. What I would like to do with the Amarones is focus on the technique in terms of the appassimento and what you did and how long you dried the grapes for, and then a little bit about the winemaking and also about the aging, because the aging is so important. We could also talk about the different grape varieties. That's one area. Secondly, the broad brushstrokes of the terroir. Unlike Burgundy, it's not a terroir-driven wine in the same way because of the appassimento technique. Well, Valpolicella it is, but with the Amarone, I think the broad brushstrokes, we want to know what the altitude is and if there is a principal component of the soil, so if there's quite a lot of clay or if there's a high calcareous content, which will obviously show and I can relate to the glass. I think there's an opportunity here for tasting two wines, an Amarone and a Reserva, obviously two different vintages, and that way you can communicate to me what your experiences were like in the different vintages. I tasted quite a lot of different vintages in the recent tasting of Amarone, and I'd very much like to hear how your vineyards fared in those vintages, which will depend on where they're sited. So I think it's an opportunity to have a master of wine, talk about your wine, talk a little bit about you, but very much it has to be related to what is in the glass and what the customer is going to be tasting, and to give them a real flavour, a sensation and a feeling about your estate.